Welcome back to Learn JavaScript on Codecademy. We're in the Advanced Objects section. This is Factory Functions. So far, we've been creating objects individually, but there are times where we want to create many instances of an object quickly. Here's where factory functions come in. A real-world factory manufactures multiple copies of an item quickly and on a massive scale. A factory function is a function that returns an object and can be reused to make multiple object instances. Factory functions can also have parameters, allowing us to customize the object that gets returned. Let's say we wanted to create an object to represent monsters in JavaScript. There are many different types of monsters, and we could go about making each monster individually, but we can also use a factory function to make our lives easier. To achieve this diabolical plan of creating multiple monster objects, we can use a factory function that has parameters. Here we have const monster factory. Is this factory function, which takes name, age, energy source, and catchphrase as its parameters, and it's going to return an object with the name, age, energy source, and scare with those values we pass in. In the monster factory function above, it has 4 parameters and returns an object that has the properties name, age, energy source, and scare. To make an object that represents a specific monster like a ghost, we can call monster factory with the necessary arguments and assign the return value to a variable. Here's an example of that. We would do const ghost and then use our monster factory function with our parameters passed in that represent the ghost. And then if we would do ghost.scare, we would output boo. Now we have a ghost object as a result of calling monster factory with the needed arguments. With monster factory in place, we don't have to create an object literal every time we need a new monster. Instead, we can invoke the monster factory function with the necessary arguments to make a monster for us. Our instructions say, instead of making individual robots like we've been doing, let's make a factory function to make robots as we please. Create a factory function named robot factory that has 2 parameters, model and mobile. Make the function return an object. In the object, add a key of model with the value of the model parameter. Add another property that has a key of mobile with a value of the mobile parameter. Then add a method named beep without a parameter that will log beep boop to the console. Let's do that now. Run it. We pass. 2 says use your factory function by declaring a const variable named tincan. Assign to tincan the value of calling robot factory with the first argument of p500 and the second argument of true. Let's do it here. So this should create a robot, and it will pass in the p500 value into model and the true value to mobile. Let's run this. We pass. Let's now check what tincan can do. Call .beep on tincan. You should see beep boop printed to the console, which means the factory function produced a robot object. Play around with tincan to check the other properties. So let's do that here. Run it. And we do get bebop over here on the console. So our object was created called tincan. We would be able to grab the model as well if we wanted to. Run it, and we get that p500. So our object was created, and what we're learning here, factory functions, is what we would use when we want to create many instances of an object quickly. Instead of having to create the objects individually every time, we can use a factory function to create many instances quickly. As long as we provided the proper parameters, then later we could call our factory function and just pass in our parameters that will be assigned to that object. As long as you're understanding that, you guys are getting factory functions, and I'll see you in the next one.